Guys, I think we should start this episode by talking about the sheer craziness that's going on in the cryptocurrency markets. What do you guys think?
Is there any alternative to that?
To talking about that or to cryptocurrencies? Because yes, it's called dollars. It's also called British pounds, Indian rupees, Brazilian real. There's actually another 150 some odd alternatives to cryptocurrencies. So yes, the answer is yes.
Here's my idea for a cryptocurrency.
Hit me.
It's a currency, but it's not crypto at all, and it's not backed by the government.
Oh.
It's just going to be me keeping a ledger.
Isn't that... Wait. Tom. We already have that. It's called commercial paper.
No.
No, that literally is commercial paper.
No. Tom is talking about he's going to create a currency, and every time there's a transaction, Tom is going to get out his fountain pen at his house, and he's going to write down on a piece of paper that AJ paid someone, or that someone paid AJ, and he's just going to keep that ledger. That Tom coin is what you'll be spending.
HeartlandCoin.
HeartlandCoin.
Will our listeners be able to buy nutrient supplements from Alex Jones' website using HeartlandCoin?
Eventually, I hope they will. That's definitely a dream. So on our Slack, there was a tweet storm by a guy named Naval Ravikant, who is a entrepreneur and I would say a blockchain and Bitcoin enthusiast and an investor as well. And I have to say that this entire thing made zero sense.
Is this what we are? Is this the show? Or does this count against our 85 minute?
Yes.
Yeah, this counts against our 85 minutes. Yeah, definitely.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Is this like really how we want to spend our 85 minutes summarizing a tweet storm?
Well, we're just going to spend... No, I don't think we're going to summarize the tweet storm, but I think it might be helpful just to say, like, there are these...
Tom, Rich, can I stop you right there? When you say helpful to whom?
To our audience.
My favorite part of Ruchitisms is when he says one thing about what he's not going to do, and then immediately afterward he does the thing. I'm not going to summarize this tweet storm, but it would be helpful for our listeners to understand a summary of the tweet storm. So let me summarize it.
All right, Rich, this episode was your idea. You're the one that wanted to do predictions, so I will leave it to you. I will put my faith entirely in your hands. Do you want to do predictions or do you want to do Ravi coin?
No, dude, I definitely don't want to do Naval Ravikant's coin. Definitely not. What I do want to do, though, is make some predictions. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, my God. All right, Rich.
I have a prediction.
Wait. Hold on. I want to see if Rich actually prepared a prediction.
Oh, yeah, I totally prepared a prediction.
All right. I'm going to count to 3, and you're going to say your prediction immediately as I say 3. Are you ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
The value of all cryptocurrencies, including HeartlandCoin. You're asking me for my prediction, AJ.
Oh, my God. I'm so upset right now.
The value of all cryptocurrencies, including HeartlandCoin, will go up to $2 trillion. That's the market cap of cryptocurrencies.
How much is it now?
Like $700 billion. And the value of here's another prediction. This is sort of prediction 1A. If HeartlandCoin is created, it will at some point in time in 2018 have a market cap of at least $200 million.
I'm skeptical.
Dude, you missed out on a 10x, dude. You missed out on a 10x. Dude, what was Tom's prediction?
My prediction is that Randy Bryce, Iron Stash, will defeat Paul Ryan in the upcoming election for Wisconsin's first.
Oh, dang. I want to talk about that. I wish I had thought of that. Oh, God. I want to predict that. Tom.
So who is this Randy Bryce guy?
Oh, he's the Iron Stash.
Iron Stash.
So this is a guy on Twitter. Okay, so what is he other than a guy on Twitter?
No, he's not on Twitter.
I mean, he is on Twitter.
He is on Twitter, but that's not his origin.
But he said Iron Stash. That's not his. That's his Twitter handle, isn't it?
That's his nickname in real life too.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. That was my prediction. He's gonna win.
Wait, Tom, talk about it. Tell our listeners about Iron Stash.
Iron Stash is a iron worker from Wisconsin and an Army veteran who is running against Paul Ryan for Wisconsin's 1st congressional district. And his basic, and Ruchit will like this, his basic argument against Paul Ryan is, where is Paul Ryan? Paul Ryan doesn't visit the district. Paul Ryan doesn't care about us, doesn't care about iron workers. And he's going to go to Congress and not be Paul Ryan. That's his argument. I don't have any like inside polling. I haven't been following the polls. I don't, have any secrets.
Tom, I can't believe you didn't commission a poll.
I didn't commission a poll. I have no Iron Stash coin.
I at least commissioned a poll for my.
But I have a feeling that Iron Stash is going to beat Paul Ryan. That's my prediction.
Hold on. Everybody, wherever you are, like stop what you're doing, like pull over your car to the side of the road. We'll put this in the show notes. Guys, go to the Slack and click on the Randy Bryce for campaign announcement YouTube video.
Don't actually pull over your car to do this.
No, okay, fine. Watch it while you're driving.
Okay, let me be clear. I do not support AJ's suggestion that you watch it while you're driving, because I don't want you...
Watch it while you're driving.
I don't want you to come after Heartland coins and take away the hundreds of millions of dollars in Heartland coins that we are about to own.
No, don't worry about that. Just like live life in the fast lane. Yeah, pull over, get into the HOV lane, because now Randy Bryce is riding shotgun, and you have no choice. There is absolutely no discretion in the matter. It is imperative that you watch this YouTube video.
So do you guys think this... So let me ask you this, AJ, since you're probably more tipped into this than anybody else. Do you think this guy is in touch with his district? Like, he's clearly a Twitter and a left Twitter phenomena, and he's making great videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
What makes you think he's a left Twitter phenomenon? Like, what about him?
Because people all over left Twitter are retweeting him. I mean, like, I consistently hear about him from...
Hold on. A, you don't read left Twitter. You don't read Twitter. You don't read anything on the Twitterverse. B, presumably like AJ and I have some connection to left Twitter. I don't know about AJ.
That's why I'm saying you guys are always talking about Iron Stash.
But I don't see his Twitter is not where I learned about this guy.
Really?
I learned about him from Twitter.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I just heard, it seemed, I thought it was not a bold statement to say this guy is a left Twitter phenomenon.
No, hold on. Can you just watch the video? No, Ruch.
I think you're just making shit up.
No. I'm saying he is, it's not bad for him to be a left Twitter phenomenon. I don't know why you guys are taking it as an insult. I'm just saying that, like, I'm curious to know what you guys know about whether he is one, in touch with his district, two, like whether he's getting actual traction in his district, or if he's kind of like a John Ossoff type in the sense that, like, people are going crazy because they might be able to win a seat.
He's like the exact opposite of John Ossoff. Like his like branding and his imaging has this like incredible appearance of authenticity, right? Like John Ossoff was an investment banker who like parachuted in, wore a suit, and was like, hey. Ossoff ran like the blandest, least positional campaign in like recent memory, right? Like this guy is someone who's like a cancer survivor and a longtime union activist, who is like running on his organized labor credentials in particular, has been, is running on his endorsement from Bernie Sanders, is running on opposition to Donald Trump, extreme opposition to Donald Trump, and is running on like universal healthcare. Right, I mean, this is someone who's like running in particular on like an extraordinary set of values, which is it's sort of as far from John Ossoff as you could get.
So he's definitely running on very leftist values, right? I get that, which is why one of the reasons I think he's such a phenomena in leftist spheres. But I'm asking, like, how does that sort of comport with his actual district?
I mean, it's like a working class district, right? Like Jane, Wisconsin is not like a rich town. So what? Jane, Wisconsin is the Wisconsin 2nd district, I think.
Oh,
Wisconsin 1st district.
Yeah,
I think they have demographics by congressional district.
So it's 91% white. It says.
Right. So okay. So Wisconsin's for 91% white according to Wikipedia. Citation needed, though. Also citation needed, $50,000 is the median household income. It's 84% urban and 15% rural. Citation needed. You know what I mean? Like
27% blue collar, 57% white collar.
Why is Wikipedia all citation needed?
No one has been taking the time, which they would if they were getting paid in HeartlandCoin.
So the Cook Partisan Voting Index is R+5.
That's pretty close, actually.
Yeah, that's like really close. Considering, I mean, I think so if you look at the special elections that have been occurring in the last year, right? Like Democrats have been consistently like 20 points ahead of the presidential results. And so an R+5 district is like eminently gettable for Democrats in the 2018 cycle, right? Like the demographics of this district are actually like pretty favorable for Randy Bryce. And also he's going to win.
That was my prediction.
All right. Should we say like if we agree with these predictions?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. My cryptocurrency prediction, part A, which is that all the currencies out there cryptocurrencies will be worth more than $2 trillion. They're at $700 billion now, by comparison.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay, if we launch HeartlandCoin will be worth in excess of $300 million in its market cap.
I disagree.
Now, if we don't launch HeartlandCoin, then your prediction is invalid, by the way.
It's your prediction. What do you mean my prediction's invalid? Your prediction's invalid.
Prediction.
You're invalid. You're out of order. You can't handle the truth.
So here's my prediction about Bitcoin. I think the first market collapse will demolish Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And by market collapse, I mean the real world market collapse.
Okay, I'm ready for my prediction. 2018.
No, let's talk about that for a second. I agree with you, Tom, because I think the whole point of Bitcoin, or one of the points of Bitcoin, is to be kind of outside of government, in the sense that this is a currency that's created out of thin air. It's issued effectively by a computer program that runs on a decentralized basis, right? So the idea is that the government cannot control cryptocurrency. The central banks cannot control, at least this is the theory, right? And I can explain in a moment why that theory is probably wrong anyway. But so people are thinking of it, and we've talked about it in the Slack, and people may have even read this, that people are saying that cryptocurrency is like an insurance policy in case you think that the government makes a mistake, right? Which leads us into a recession, and now everyone will want to flock to cryptocurrency. So, that would have to actually prove to be true, I think, it is what you're saying. And you're saying it's going to prove to not be true. The people are indeed not going to flock to cryptocurrency if there's a crisis.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think that, like, if I am proven right on the $2 trillion like asset class, or $2 trillion market cap for all the cryptocurrencies, if I'm proven right on that, I think also governments will regulate cryptocurrencies. And so the way that they can do that is they can make it illegal, right? They can say that it's illegal if you're a business to accept payments in cryptocurrency. And the vast majority of businesses, probably 99% of them, are not going to go against what the U.S. government or the German government or the Japanese government or whoever else says. They're just not going to accept cryptocurrencies. It's just like the vast majority of, like, when it became hard for gambling to occur in the U.S., online gambling, some of it moved offline, but even then, most banks refused to deal with casinos that were offshore, rather, like, in the Caribbean or whatever else. So I think, like, if the government makes it illegal, it's hard for me to believe that somehow cryptocurrencies will survive anyway. AJ, what's your prediction?
My prediction is that
I like how no. Is anybody agreeing or disagreeing with my prediction?
I already agreed with your prediction.
I agree with your prediction.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with both of your predictions, Tom.
Tom is satisfied.
I agree with the fact that Randy Bryce will win in 2018, which will be awesome, actually. Paul Ryan has been a huge disappointment. A huge, huge disappointment.
Has he? He has exactly met my expectations.
I don't know. I expected him to not be a complete moron when it comes to policy.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I mean, maybe I was wrong to expect.
Based on what?
I don't know. Based on his general reputation.
For what?
For being a policy wonk, AJ. Again, as I said, you may think I was wrong to have such expectations, but I had them, and he has disappointed me. And how dare you defend Paul Ryan? What's your prediction, dude?
All right. This is a good prediction. You're welcome for my good prediction. In the first quarter of 2018, Apple will launch the Apple HomePod, and I will buy it, and it will be extremely good.
So I want to append AJ's prediction, which is...
Well, no, it's my prediction. Append your own prediction.
AJ will think it is extremely good, no matter how crappy it is.
No, it was not going to be crappy. It's just not.
So, Rich, are you going to buy a HomePod or a HomePod to prove AJ wrong?
No, I'm not buying a HomePod. I think I'm done buying Apple products for a little while.
Well, then how will you know? How will you know whether it's good or bad?
I'm saying, well, I'll read reviews and stuff, I guess.
I mean, I guess if you want to believe those people over AJ, your dear friend.
I mean, I know AJ's biases towards Apple are well established. His track record is prolific. It's longer than Bitcoin's track record. Let's just put it that way. Should we talk about cases?
Wait, hold on. We spent like 8 years on your crypto. That's it. We're done now.
Well, I mean, you wanted to. No, I'm saying I thought we had like cases to talk about.
No, the HomePod is going to be like 8 times as good as the Dems retaking Congress, which I also predict will happen.
8 times as likely, or 8 times as good, or both. 8
times as good. However good you feel about Dems retaking Congress, HomePod will be like that plus like even better.
So I have another prediction. This is getting fun. This is getting fun.
Is it about cryptocurrencies?
Okay. No.
Because even I'm getting tired of hearing about cryptocurrencies, dude.
Look, it's just important for people to hear this summary of this thing that Ruchit said he wasn't going to summarize.
No, the next time people hear me talk about cryptocurrencies, it'll be about HeartlandCoin, and it'll be after we've done a little bit of work on HeartlandCoin. And by we I mean Tom. Okay, here's my next prediction. The Mueller investigation will end in 2018, and no one and Donald Trump will be cleared. Not necessarily his family,
no,
but he will be.
That's not going to happen.
What does that mean, cleared? Like, investigations don't clear people.
Well, so he will not be, there will be no recommendation that he be indicted or...
Oh, okay. In that case, I agree.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay. Or there will be no finding that he likely committed a crime.
I mean, investigations don't make such findings.
Well, no, they say that somebody did something, illegal or not illegal or likely illegal.
No, they say we have evidence to prosecute or we don't have evidence to prosecute.
Okay, well, in that case, there will not be evidence to prosecute Donald Trump. That's one of my predictions.
I actually think that's probably true.
All right, next prediction, or are we done with this?
I think we're done with predictions.
Yeah, let's move on.
How long have we been recording? 28 minutes.
30 minutes.
Okay. All right, roadmap. How about we talk a little bit about this Kaczynski thing, and then we do Supreme Court predictions, and then sidebar.
So I actually want to talk about. So one of the things that we had discussing, which I wanted to get your perspective on, Tom, was tell us about the relationship between law clerks and the judges that they clerk for.
It's generally good. It's a big learning opportunity. Yeah, I think I think it's a network, if you will. I don't know, what is there specific questions you want to know? Like, I mean,
so okay, so maybe just back up for our listeners that are not lawyers, right? So there are judges.
Whoa, judges,
and they typically, yeah. I'm not going to explain what a judge is, but maybe in the after show.
It's important for our listeners.
Maybe in the after show.
Okay.
Or in the episode, Everything We Know About Judges, which is soon to be forthcoming. So Tom, like, what is a law clerk? What does a law clerk do? Tell us more about that.
So in the federal judiciary, there's enough funding for judges to hire term clerks, and some judges hire permanent clerks. But a term clerk is basically a first-year lawyer who is working for the judge for a period of 1 to 2 years, maybe. For example, I worked for a year. That was the term of my, clerkship. And, usually judges will have anywhere from 2 to 4 clerks working for them, and they will do any sort of legal analysis that the judge needs done, any sort of research that the judge needs done, whatever basically legal work that the judge needs done in order to do his or her job. So that can be in the form of, when cases come up, the clerk could be assigned to do things like, okay, well, brief for me what each side is arguing, the relevant issues, and any other, and the best arguments for both sides. And so the judge can decide, okay, can get an overview of what the case is about and then make a better decision. So that's the type of things that a clerk does for a judge.
So why do judges hire, let's call it somewhat inexperienced lawyers, right? Because if they're a first-year lawyer or a second-year lawyer out of law school, why hire that person instead of like a more experienced person? Because this sounds like pretty heavy, important work, right?
I think a couple of reasons. I think practically speaking, first-year lawyers are a lot cheaper than really good, experienced attorneys. If you are a practitioner who has done this for 30 years, you're not going to take a gigantic pay cut to go work for the judiciary for a year. You just your life expenses probably can't handle that. Whereas a first-year lawyer can afford to, be paid a lot less than that because, previous to that first year, they were being paid nothing. I think that's the primary reason.
So the labor's cheap.
That it's done. Yeah, the labor's cheap, yeah.
I think actually one of the other reasons, this is what I've always suspected, is that there's a concept of mentorship that is pretty important in the legal profession, where the judges feel an obligation to sort of mentor young attorneys, and a lot of knowledge in the legal profession is passed on through these sort of mentorship type relationships, as opposed to just something that you learn reading a book, and a lot of respect for rule of law, things like that. It seems more cultural.
I think that's an offshoot of the system, but I don't think it's the cause of the system. At least as it exists currently. Like I think, and there's a couple of ways to look at it, right? Like I think if the judges had a choice between hiring, like a 50-year lawyer and a first-year lawyer, given the opportunity for mentorship, I think a lot of judges would do that, would pursue that opportunity for mentorship. It might be multifactorial in the sense that, like, if I were a judge and I had that choice, I might think, okay, well, what are the bad habits that this 50-year-old lawyer is going to come in with, right? That I'd have to unwork. Whereas, like, you have a bigger opportunity to teach the first-year lawyer than you do the 50-year lawyer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I think maybe a better way of looking at it is I think the pool of applicants that the judge has to choose from are usually the first or young, and not you always first-year lawyers. Sometimes some people go work for a year or two and then come back and clerk. So that's not unusual at all. But the pool of applicants are going to be similar to that type of individual for the financial reasons that I outlined, right? But maybe from the judge's perspective, if they had a larger pool of applicants, I could see a lot of judges choosing the younger lawyer to mentor them over the older lawyer, even if they had that unlimited resource to get that perfect pool of applicants.
So do you think that the kind of work that clerks do is really the kind of work that should be entrusted to like 28-year-old first year out of law school graduates?
For the vast majority of federal judges, yes, because I think that the kind of work that most people in the legal profession think that law clerks do is not as important as they posit it to be, right? So what I mean by that is that a lot of people like to say, oh, the clerk is writing the opinion, oh, the clerk has so much power, right? I don't really buy that. I think most judges in the federal judiciary are pretty good, and most judges in the federal judiciary aren't going to just phone it in, right? Like I think that most judges want good work, and they're going to put in the effort to make sure that their opinions are a result of good processes and good work, right? So I don't think that clerks have as much power as the question AJ asks implies.
So, I mean, I understand that like most judges are pretty competent, and I think we can agree that like really the actual work of sitting down to write the opinion is sort of grunt work, right? The actual like sitting down and writing of it is like pretty mechanical. I think we've all been there doing like similar work to that in our career, where you kind of the actual hard work is the thinking, and that takes a very short amount of time, and then the easy work is the writing, which takes forever. Here's my question, right? You have someone like this Peterson person that like Trump nominated to the Article 3 bench, who like couldn't answer basic questions like what's a motion in limine, right? And so do you think that like on the margins, that there are judges that are not everyone's favorite, right? Like Edith Jones has her detractors, or someone like Talley or Peterson, or other folks who have been nominated but not quite made it to the bench, right? On the margins, do you think that clerks make a meaningful difference?
I don't think a clerks would, I don't, for someone like Matt Peterson, the Trump nominee who was struggling to answer sort of basic questions about what federal judges do, I don't think that a first-year lawyer or a law clerk like that with that experience is going to save him. I don't think that.
Oh, I think like the opposite, right?
Yeah. So like a lot of the arguments in favor of this Peterson individual was, it'll be fine him being on the bench because he's got the ideological stripes, and it's all clerks that are going to do the work anyway, and that can't be far from the truth. I think he, if he were on the federal bench, it would have been really bad.
And then here's my last question. There's been this situation with Judge Kaczynski on the Ninth Circuit. He ended up resigning. There are allegations of a like very long-term period of sexual misconduct between Kaczynski and clerks in the workplace. And John Roberts said in his State of the Judiciary report that he's going to appoint a working group to look into these issues. And I think that's all good. I guess my question is, is there something like specific to like the clerk judge relationship that you think like in particular, that this working group will look into? I mean, is that something like in particular that you think there's something like specific to the judge clerk relationship that has bearing on that?
I mean, I can imagine that there's like any sort of job similar to that, there's a power dynamic, right? The judge has a lot more power than the lowly clerk. And so, if a bad individual wanted to abuse that power, it would be easy to abuse it, right? These are very, very small chambers that you're dealing with.
We're talking like 40 square feet. I mean, like an apartment in Hong Kong.
Yeah, like the physical dimensions of the chambers are like minuscule.
Yeah. I'm teasing.
No, I'm talking about the number of people, right? So a judge might have in their entire office, right? Maybe 5 people, 6 people, including the judge. A secretary and 4 clerks.
Yeah,
that's not a lot of people, right? And if that's all you see And that's not usually all you see on like a daily basis, but for the vast majority of the time that you're working in that, it's a environment where you're working with these 4 or 5 very small group of individuals, right? You might be, you might go out to lunch with all of the clerks in the building, but you're not necessarily working hand in hand, right? Like you don't go over to the other clerk's office or another judge's office and every day and talk with them about cases. You don't really have that opportunity. A lot of the work you're doing is reading and writing.
That was interesting. I actually think that's like super interesting. I think it's like a particularly unusual working dynamic that I don't know is like replicated elsewhere in sort of how we think about how work gets done.
I think another important point maybe is that the judge typically ends up being an important mentor, or can be an important mentor to the clerk, because to build on that kind of power dynamic point that you made, Tom, it's someone that you do a lot of work for over the course of a year or 2 years, and there is that kind of close mentee mentor relationship, at least as I've perceived it.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of former clerks have their judge like perform their like wedding and things like that. I think it's like I mean my brother-in-law clerked at a state court, and he had like a really close relationship with his judge, and he was like pretty hard up when his judge died.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this goes back to sort of the fact that the clerk is beginning their legal career, and they're forming, I don't know if ideology is the right word, but their framework of how they think about the law. And a lot of that is being influenced by the judge, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's very true.
Yeah. So our listeners may not know this, but Tom clerked for a federal appellate court judge.
Yeah. And I guess the other background of this is Alex Kaczynski is a pretty famous federal circuit court judge, an appellate court judge who resigned as a result of sexual assault allegations.
Was it assault or was it misconduct? I think it was more harassment. Yeah, I don't think there was assault.
I don't know that it's actually been alleged that he assaulted anyone. I may be wrong about that though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. You're correct.
I think our relationship with these things completely changed with the Harvey Weinstein stuff, right? I mean, it just completely changed. I mean, I think look at sort of the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. Talk about a power dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's why I wanted to ask Tom about it. Is that sort of with his experience actually doing an Article 3 clerkship, that it seems sort of amazing to me that just that whole thing goes on, just in general. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if there's much more to say about it.
Probably not.
Supreme Court predictions?
Sure.
What do you got, Tom?
So today's case is Patchak v. Zinke. And if you remember, Zinke is the Department of Interior Secretary who has his own personal flag. He also was recently...
Can we talk about that for a second? I would like a personal flag.
We've talked about this very thing in past episodes.
That I would like one?
Yes.
That I would like one?
Yes.
I said that?
Yeah. We were going to create Heartland flags. Each of us going to have a personal flag.
Yeah. Why hasn't that happened yet?
Because you haven't done it.
If we make a Heartland flag, it can be part of our HeartlandCoin.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. Zinke also was recently cited for using funds allocated to the California wildfire recovery efforts to take a helicopter ride. Did you guys hear about this?
To see the wildfire, or for what purpose?
No, for non-wildfire related purposes.
Well, I didn't hear about that.
Case is called Patchak v. Zinke, and the entire issue in this case is about separation of powers. And separation of powers is this idea that, each of the three branches, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary have very specific and defined powers, and one branch should not step on the toes of the other branch by trying to usurp the powers of another branch, right? So, Congress shouldn't try to prosecute criminals, for example. Congress shouldn't try to tell the judiciary how to do its work, that sort of thing. Anyway, in this issue, the question is whether Congress can require the judicial branch to promptly dismiss a lawsuit in the middle of litigation when it doesn't amend or change the underlying substantive or procedural laws. And where this gets started is the Gun Lake Tribe of Indians in Michigan asked the Secretary of the Department of Interior, Zinke, to take private land so they could build a casino. In the middle of the lawsuit, Congress passed the Gun Lake Trust Land Reaffirmation Act, which states that an action relating to the Gun Lake land property at issue shall not be filed or maintained in a federal court and shall be promptly dismissed. Zinke argues that under this case, United States v. Klein, in 1872 case, Congress can't single out lawsuits that they don't like and force the judiciary to dismiss them. However, if Congress, there's certainly a long line of cases saying that if Congress were to change the applicable law, then even if the result were to dismiss a pending case, Congress could do that, right? So that's the entire issue in this case, because on one side you have Pat Check arguing, look, this is just Congress telling me telling the courts to dismiss my case because they don't like me and they don't like the fact that I'm pursuing this case against this Indian tribe and the Secretary of Interior. And on the other side, the tribe and the government are arguing, no, this is actually a substantive change in the law. This is removing jurisdiction from the court, which Congress has done and can do over and over again. So that's the basic gist of the case.
There's a pretty long line of case law that talks about like the retroactivity of laws, right? Like, so I slip and fall and I sue under some sort of tort claim. And then while my suit is pending, Congress amends the tort statute to say, well, actually, we didn't mean for the statute to cover slip and falls. The case law would hold that my case should be dismissed, right? Like the remedy available to me went away during the time of my lawsuit was pending, right? And when a change in law that affects a vested right is impermissibly retroactive, right? But a pending lawsuit is not a vested right? Like the right to the judgment vests when you actually like get the judgment, when you like get the money from the defendant, right? And so there's a pretty long line of cases that says that Congress can amend the statute in such a way that your claim should be dismissed because there's no longer an available remedy, right? So like changes in law that are jurisdictional or sort of affect the remedies available to you have to be implemented at the time the judgment is rendered, even if like that the law was different when you actually fell. But it seems to me that it's very clear. It's like astoundingly clear that Congress can change these sort of laws that affect individual lawsuits while they're pending. I guess this is my very long way of saying that.
Yeah, that is the government's argument, right? Zinke's argument is basically,
and Zinke is the government here, right?
Or sorry. Pat Check's argument is basically look at the language of the statute. The language of the statute says it singles out these cases and tells the court to dismiss them, right? How is that not, the Congress intruding on the judicial function?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Zinke on this one because
you mean Pat Check or Zinke?
Oh, sorry, Pat Check. Sorry, yeah. Well, I agree with Pat Check. Sorry, that this is Congress interfering with a specific case. I mean, they name the case, do they not?
In this case, I don't think so. No.
Okay, but they name there's only one dispute to which this refers, probably, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So like what they did is they named the property at issue, right? And they said an action relating to this property shall not be maintained in federal court and shall be promptly dismissed.
What is the like basis for the precedent saying that Congress can't pass a law affecting a particular pending lawsuit? Is it like federalism, like separation of powers, or is it?
No, it's separation of powers.
It's separation of powers. So it doesn't have anything to do with like bills of attainder or something.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just separation of powers.
Yes.
Well, I think that's BS. I think that's a bad precedent, right? Because so the way the Constitution is worded, right, there is specific original and appellate jurisdiction created in the Supreme Court, and then the Constitution says that the Congress can create lower courts and creates the original jurisdiction of the lower courts, right? And so I don't think there's a separation of power. Like, I think that Congress creates the jurisdiction of the courts in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, but courts have held that that's not an unlimited power, right? Like Congress can't say, you know what, I'm going to pass a law imprisoning all, Muslims, and I'm going to remove jurisdiction from the court in that circumstance, right? Like something broad like that.
Isn't that the Hamdi and Hamdan and holdings? Basically, that like during the Bush presidency, Congress tried to remove Article 3 jurisdiction over detained so-called combatants, and the Article 3 judiciary was like, no, we have jurisdiction.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your predictions? Let's make predictions.
I was going to say my prediction is 9-0 for Zepchek. What's the person's name?
Patchek.
9-0 for Patchek. And it's going to be on the theory that here Congress was very specific. And if we tolerated this sort of specificity, we would basically be gutting the entire doctrine that the court cannot, or that Congress cannot legislate on specific cases, remove jurisdiction on specific cases. Because that's clearly what they were intending to do here. Like, it's hard to argue that it wasn't.
So, hold on. So, I want to look up the exact statute. So,
here, I'll put it in the Slack.
While summary judgment briefing was underway in the district court following remand, Congress enacted the Gun Lake Act, a standalone statute which directed that any pending or future case relating to the Bradley property shall be promptly dismissed.
Yeah, the actual language of the statute says shall not be filed or maintained in federal court and shall be promptly dismissed.
That's really what it says? Where I want to see
it just seems like there's something fundamentally wrong about Congress singling out one single case. Do you know what I mean? That seems obviously wrong to me from a separation of powers, but it also seems wrong to me from like maybe even the powers of Congress. Like, can Congress pass a law? I mean, I guess they can, but can they say that, we have decided that we are going to expropriate like AJ's iPads, specifically just AJ's, nobody else's? Like, AJ can have 7 iPads, but he can't have, 14 as he currently does?
Yes, they can.
And we deem just compensation for AJ's iPads to be $100 a piece?
How did oral argument go? Did the judges seem sympathetic in oral argument?
No. I don't know. It was a mixed bag.
How so?
Well, I think, it was a hot panel for both sides.
I think it's going to be 6-3 for Zinke.
Oh.
Here's my rationale, right? The problem is defective drafting, right? The problem is not the actual thing that Congress tried to do, right? Because so what Congress wrote is, notwithstanding any other provision of law, an action. Well, sorry, I'll start from the beginning. So Section 2A says land can be taken into trust by the United States for the benefit of this particular band of Native Americans, and that the Secretary of the Interior, has the power to decide to take this land into trust. Okay, I mean that's reasonable. And, that's not being challenged, right? And then the next thing it says is that no claims, notwithstanding any other provision of law, an action, including a pending action relating to the land described in subsection A, so relating to the land taken into trust, shall not be filed or maintained in federal court and shall be promptly dismissed, right? And so if Congress had gone through the statutes that said, had gone through the statutes and said, here is a tort statute, and we're we are going to amend that tort statute to say, oh, no claims relating to the land taken into trust by this section. And then they went to like a deceptive trade practices statute, and they amended that to say, oh, no claims relating to this land. And then they went to the Federal Tort Claims Act. And then they went to, the FLSA, and so on and so forth, right? And they went to every single statute creating a civil cause of action. And they had written in each of those statutes, and by the way, this statute doesn't apply to the land described in this section, right? Then that would be fine, right?
Yeah. So I don't think it's a drafting error. I think it's more that Congress was, they were too truthful, right? Like they could have hid their intent in a way, but instead they were too stupid to hide their intent, and now they're in trouble. I mean, at least as it relates to not having this law be valid. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think some of these same arguments would come into play. It just wouldn't be as obvious that what Congress was doing was trying to impact this one specific lawsuit. And Congress passes like no laws. Like, how the hell did they like choose this as a law to pass? Like they pass like 12 laws a year. I mean, like they can't get their together on a budget, on like anything, but they have time to like pass a law that impacts this one case. And even then, they can't write a proper law. Like, what the hell is wrong with Congress?
So, okay, here's my prediction: the all 5 conservatives are in favor of the government, and Breyer is in favor of the government.
Oh, Breyer loves Congress. He loves congressional authority.
Breyer 1 loves Congress, but 2, like he in particular feels like the role of everyone who's not part of the legislature, like the role of the administrative estate and the role of the judiciary, is to make congressional acts work, right? That if like an act shouldn't fail because it's inartfully drafted, or it shouldn't fail because.
But it's not inartful drafting here.
It is.
This situation.
It absolutely is, right? Like
no, it's just like drafting that isn't as deceptive as it should be. It's not like a law where like they forgot to put in a couple of commas, you know what I mean? And that changed the meaning when everything else in the law like suggests what the meaning is, you know what I mean? It's not a drafting error.
No, but that's exactly inartful drafting, right? I mean, that's precisely what inartful drafting is, right? Like you're just saying it right now, right? Like there's a way that they could have drafted it that would unquestionably be constitutional, but they didn't draft it that way. They drafted it a different way, and now it's subject to challenge.
I don't think actually it would be. So actually, I disagree with that. I don't think it would necessarily be constitutional. I think they just have a slightly better argument. But at the end of the day, this exact same argument would be there, which is, hey, they clearly passed this law. They tried to hide the fact that they passed it to impact this specific case, but it's very clear that there's no other case they could have been referring to. So I agree with your assessment on what Breyer loves to do, but I'm not sure that I agree that this is an example of that. That said, I still think he'll side with Congress, or I think he could. I mean, I'm.
You think so? You do think Breyer will side with Congress? But earlier you said 9-0.
I think he could. No, I'm 9-0, so I think he could. I mean, I think you're making a rational argument, right?
Nice.
Obviously, I disagree that that's what's going to happen, but
I tend to agree with AJ, but I would say that Kagan also sides with Zinke.
Oh, so you're predicting 7-2?
7-2 Zinke.
Wow, I hope you guys are wrong, because I hope you guys are wrong, because Congress is going to take this, encouragement, continue to pass no laws that actually matter to like 99.9% of Americans, with the exception of that stupid tax bill. But
so I actually think like I wonder what the implications of this law would be on Trump's wall if that ever gets built, and if Republicans maintain control of Congress.
As in, like they try to expropriate like specific people's land, and then they say that you can't challenge the fact that your land was taken from you.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, a lot has to go. A lot.
But wouldn't that then still be like a Fifth Amendment argument? Like, wouldn't that be an unlawful taking? Even if Congress said you can't hear this case, couldn't you still have a constitution? Because Congress can't prevent you from putting forward a constitutional challenge, can they?
Can they?
I don't think so, right? They can't. They couldn't pass a law that said that, like, you, Tom Jacob, have no like right to create like HeartlandCoin or something.
Yeah, no, Yeah, that was my point earlier in the discussion about how Congress couldn't, like the Hamdan, those line of cases about Gitmo. There has to be limits on where Congress, can tread. And I guess at the end of the day, like, after listening to the oral arguments, I actually listened to them a couple of times. And
Tom's bragging right now. Tom's bragging.
The impression that I got was it was hot for both sides, but at the end of the day, just this case feels like a case where it doesn't feel like a step too far for the court. I think if you had a case of treading on sort of individual rights, then maybe, something out of the Bill of Rights. But I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and Ruchit could be completely right.
I think you guys have convinced me. I'm still keeping my prediction, but I think you guys have done a successful job of convincing me that these poor bastards are not going to win. And it's a guy with the flag. The guy with the flag is going to win.
All right, this is your last chance. Last chance to change your vote.
No. I'm sticking with my 9-0.
You're sticking with 9-0?
Yeah, I'm sticking.
Even though you now think it's wrong?
I'm saying you guys are convincing me, but, listen, a person has to go with their gut. You know what I mean? Not information. Because what kind of crazy way would that be to make decisions?
Sidebars? I got a good sidebar.
Hit it, dude.
Okay, so this, my sidebar is a recent chess protest, and I thought, this was pretty wide knowledge, but recently I discovered that, Ruchit didn't know, and if Ruchit didn't know, there's probably a lot of people that didn't know about these protests. So recently, in chess circles, starting in 2016, with an individual named Nazi Pekadizzi. I don't know how to say the last. I'm probably going to butcher all of these names. She boycotted the Women's World Chess Championship in Iran because she did not want to wear a hijab. More recently, in 2017, or later in 2017, Anna Muzichuk skipped the World Rapid and World Blitz Championships in Saudi Arabia based on the treatment of women in that country, and she had won previously the Women's World Rapid Chess Championship in 2016 and the Women's World Blitz Chess Championships twice in 2014 and 2016, and of course both of these individuals are women's grandmasters, right? So they're not, nobody's they've got real chutzpah behind them. And then in this year, Dorsa Derekshani, a 19-year-old grandmaster from Iran, was banned and kicked out of the Iranian Chess Federation for not wearing a hijab during the Trade-wise Gibraltar Chess Festival in Europe. And so she joined the United States Chess Federation. It's just, I think these women deserve recognition for standing up for the rights of women in countries that don't have those rights for all women, and people should know their names and hopefully pronounce their names better than I did, and read these articles about them.
Tom, I applaud your attempts at pronouncing their names and for telling me and our listeners about this, because I definitely did not know about this, and it didn't reach me through my regular diet of Fox News and Alex Jones, which is a complete surprise to me. But
yeah. What's actually kind of I don't know about strange or weird, but on, I guess you could call it right Twitter, every so often you'll see a citation to this, not in the context of praising these individuals for their courage and the fact that they're really setting their careers back by not taking part in these giant world chess championships, right? This is a very real detriment to each of these individuals in what they did. So it's not that they're praising them for this, but It's, comments like, where are the individuals on the left? Why aren't they speaking up about this? Why don't they care about this? Right. And what's funny to me is that, I've seen individuals on the left comment about this just as much as I've seen those types of tweets on the right, probably more so on the left. But what's funny to me is how insulated those bubbles can get if these individuals aren't seeing each other's tweets.
Yeah, and that's part of a narrative, right? The narrative is that the other side is hypocritical. And so any fact that builds the narrative of hypocrisy on the other side is retweeted, probably, And so that information spreads as if it's the truth, because there's no real interest in getting to understand or appreciate the other side, but merely just to say that they are, if not evil, certainly a bunch of hypocrites that shouldn't be taken seriously. It's a delegitimization. It's not good. I don't think it's like, I really am. I was sort of joking, obviously, about my Fox News and Alex Jones information diet, but I'm surprised I haven't seen it.
But these articles that I'll be linking to in the show notes, it's not as if like I'm reading them on Think Progress or something like that. This is
agreed.
This is the Washington Post that I'm saying. Like these are major publications. They're dedicating multiple articles to this, right? Like, so it's the New York Times and the Washington Post that I'm citing to for all three of these individuals and their stories about these individuals, right? So I disagree that it's not getting news. It's I don't know why it's not spreading as maybe it should, but it's certainly making news.
Yeah, then I'm just not seeing it. My bad.
Yeah, Ruchit is bad.
I'll link to it in the show notes, of course, but. There was a story recently about an individual who was Facebook friends with someone that that large geographic distance separated them, and they didn't have very many real life friends in common. And they were saying, look, I didn't know about this individual's death because Facebook, because of algorithms. But what happened was that the Facebook algorithm, I think I linked it to you in the Slack maybe, but what happened was that the Facebook because the individual who died was not a frequent poster of Facebook's algorithm sort of assumed that this individual's posts was not very interesting to people, and so they suppressed that individual's posts and people posting on that wall. And so when that individual died and a lot of his or her close friends began posting on his wall, that didn't circulate among the rest of that individual's friends because of Facebook's sort of algorithms. And I wonder if maybe that this has something to do with it. It doesn't. I don't know how much you use Facebook, but
I don't have a Facebook.
Not much at all anymore. I don't remember the last time I really used it.
All right, I got a sidebar.
Hit it, dude.
Michael Lewis is sort of like noteworthy for creating this sort of genre of journalistic nonfiction books where he like takes some sort of financial topic and he does like this really in-depth explainer. And then he personalizes it by interviewing like particularly interesting people. So he's done one about like how the internet had created all of these child entrepreneurs. He's done another book about the credit default swap and the 2007 crisis and about sort of what precipitated that. And it's a really good explainer of how a lot of financial instruments work and the financial system works. Anyway, he has created for the second time in his career basically this like new genre of journalistic work, and this new genre is how bad the Trump administration is at transition planning. So for
that's a genre.
That's a new genre. He's done 2 entries on this, and the one that is my sidebar this week.
I'm looking forward to reading this.
It's really good. It's kind of long. It's kind of long, but I think it's really good.
Can you put it in the Slack? Can you put it in the Slack?
It's in the Google Doc. Jesus, Google. Oh God, Ruchit.
Dude, just put it in the Slack so we can talk about it on the Slack. I don't know why this is such a problem.
All right, I'm putting it in the Slack. Okay, I just linked it in the Slack. The other one he did back in July, he did this really long article about the DOE transition, Department of Energy, and now he's done a really good article about the USDA transition, and there's all of these it's sort of in the same style as his writing about finance, where he finds particularly interesting people that were involved. Usually it's the outgoing deputy secretary for whatever field, and he'll interview them, and he really personalizes what it is the agency does. And then he gets to the part of the article where he explains that no one from the Trump campaign ever showed up for any of the transition meetings. There's this scene in the article on the USDA where everybody lays out all of the briefings, and they get everything ready, and they're ready to roll out the red carpet. And the Trump campaign says, "Oh, someone's coming to talk to you Monday," and they're real excited, and then no one actually shows up. And so they get ready on Tuesday, and they're all right, we're going to do it. This is the day we're going to introduce them to our agency. And then no one shows up. And then a month later, one person shows up, and mostly is just interested in asking about who's working on climate change. And it's a scene that sort of repeats itself in his July article on the Department of Energy and in his November article on the USDA. Anyway, Michael Lewis is a real jewel. He is a treasure to our nation. He has invented not one but two genres of journalistic enterprise. One, explaining financial markets to me, and two, explaining how poorly the Trump administration did transition planning from the outgoing administration.
Let me also praise Michael Lewis in two ways. One, let me second everything AJ said about his abilities to write about complicated subjects. I think Liar's Poker was probably, honestly, one of the reasons I got interested in, I think I was always interested in investing, but it really made me even more interested. And it's funny because Michael Lewis said that that this book and its success in the 1980s and describing Wall Street and describing how much money was made on Wall Street, he thought that it would actually deter people from going onto Wall Street, but in fact it did the exact opposite. But I think Liar's Poker is an incredible book. The Big Short is really good. And then Moneyball, if you're at all a baseball fan or a sports fan, is also really, really good. But okay, so the second way that I would like to sort of appreciate Michael Lewis is he is going to be awarded 1,000 Heartland coins.
Oh Jesus! He doesn't want. Actually, I got to tell you, after reading Michael Lewis's book on high frequency trading, Flash Boys, I think Michael Lewis is probably the single journalist whose work I would be most interested in reading about the new crypto phenomenon.
I totally agree. I hope he is working on or will be working on a book soon, and I would like to invite Michael Lewis, if you're listening to this podcast, don't think of the fact that, to follow us in our journey when we create HeartlandCoin.
Michael, come on Heartland. Come on our show. Michael, come on our show. Check the show notes. Find my Twitter handle and check out the show.
You're going to get the 1,000 Heartland coins no matter what, the HTC as we call them. Although, Tom, we can't call them HTC. That's a phone brand.
That's a real brand.
What are we going to
call money?
them?
That's not like our stupid podcast. That's a company that makes money.
Why can't we call it Heart?
HeartCoin? No, we're the Heartland. We're about the American Heartland, Tom.
Yeah, but why can't its shortened version be Heart?
Oh, I like that. Okay, that's what. Okay.
All right, Ruch.
All right,
Ruch.
As long as we don't talk about cryptocurrency for at least a week.
Okay, so that's going to create a problem. It's going to create a problem for my sidebar is a Coursera class, which I've enrolled in, called Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Technology.
All right, called it. End the show. Show's over, folks. Let's go home.
Here, I got a good sidebar for Ruch.
Tom, can you do a good sidebar for Ruchit?
Yeah. So there's this great article, infographic in.
By the way, your last sidebar was one of your photos for me.
Yeah. Well, you left, so somebody had to fill the gap. You know,
great job filling the void.
Somebody had to mind the store.
Yeah.
So this sidebar, Ruchit's actual sidebar, is this article or this infographic created by the Texas Tribune called "Puzzling Shapes Travel Across This Gerrymandered District in Texas," and it is a sort of history and overview of how our very own district was created. And it's this district that stretches from Austin down, slithers down I-35 and covers a gigantic portion of San Antonio. It's an interesting, I don't know if you call it an infographic. I don't know what it is, but it's neat. You should take a look at it. It only takes like 10 minutes to read through.
Oh, wait, do I live in this district? No, I
don't.
You don't? No, I don't. Because I live a little... Yeah, I live a little bit north of that. Yeah, I live in not Lamar. Yeah, McCall's district. Yeah,
I live in Mike McCall's district.
AJ, do you know anybody running for Mike McCall's seat that isn't Mike McCall?
I think Mike McCall's going to win. That'll be my prediction for 2018.